please, just be aware that we're going to do that and we're going to put it onto YouTube. So with that, the 2021 North County Commercial Real Estate Outlook, and I'm going to turn it over to Kevin Ham.
Great. Thank you very much, Eric. And yes, checks in the mail for all the nice comments. So welcome to today's event. What a year 2020 turned out to be. And, where are we going to go in 2021? Each of our presenters today will give you about a 10-minute overview of 2020 and kind of where the market's going to go in 2021. So we hope to hear a couple of nuggets of information from each of them, which I'm sure they will share. And then we'll go into questions and answers that if there was something that they didn't touch on, we'll be able to ask them questions. So the first person that will be speaking today is Connor Boyle. Connor is Vice President of Colliers International. He represents a portfolio of more than 175 million square feet. During his career, he has closed lease and sales transactions totaling more than 2.6 million square feet and valued at more than 231 million in total consideration. Before his real estate career, Connor served as an officer in the U.S. Army, where he completed 2 tours of duty in Iraq and achieved the rank of captain. So thank you very much for your service. We really appreciate that. He also was awarded the Bronze Star Medal while serving in the 3rd Armored Cavalry Regiment in 2006. I asked each of the speakers to give me an interesting fact. Connor's is that he is a San Diego native and resides in Oceanside, but in talking before this presentation today, he also said he's a native San Diegan that doesn't surf. So I think that's probably more interesting.
Yeah.
Our next panelist will be Emma Miller. She's Associate Director of Asset Management for BKM Capital Partners. She has worked in Orange County and San Diego County in the commercial real estate market for over 11 years. Starting in the office leasing sector in 2009 after graduating from George Washington University in DC. She made the transition to light industrial space in 2017. Emma currently oversees asset management for 11 properties, 1.5 million square feet, 300 tenants throughout San Diego and Orange County. And she has, as all of our panelists have been, nominated for numerous awards. She's an Orange County native, currently lives in Irvine with her husband and 8-month-old son. Her interesting fact is that from the time she was a child until now, she has had 9 cats. Currently, she only has 2. I want to make that clear. Only 2 right now, Penny and Prince. So thank you very much today. And then our third presenter is Eric Northbrook. He's Managing Director of Voigt Real Estate Services. As manager of Voigt Real Estate Services, he has direct oversight and responsibility for all aspects of the San Diego region. In this position, he has grown revenue by 40% in 2016 and opened the Carlsbad office in 2018. Eric has been in the industry for over 27 years, and prior to joining Voigt, he was executive director with Cushman Wakefield. While there, he received many awards. His accomplishments include the sale and leasing of over 2,000 transactions with a value of approximately $3 billion. He is founder of Head North, which is a 501c3 organization that provides help and hope for those individuals and families afflicted with spinal cord injury living in San Diego County. So please check out that website, which is www.headnorth.org. His interesting fact is that in October 2016, he rode his hand cycle 620 miles in 7 days from San Francisco to San Diego with the Challenged Athletes Foundation. So that must have been quite an adventure. So welcome to you as well. So thank you very much, our distinguished panelists, for joining us today. And we'll start off with Connor. Connor, please.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. Appreciate the intro, and Thank you everyone for joining us today. Just Kevin, one small correction on the intro. We have a portfolio of about 1.75 million square feet, not 175 million, although that would be nice. But appreciate
You're
everyone
retired.
joining us today. I know that Eric's going to be getting into a little bit later the state of the office market, and I'm going to be talking to you guys right now about the state of the industrial market here in North County. Really what we have when you look at the industrial asset class in comparison with other commercial property types, it's really a tale of two markets. The industrial asset class has just simply not been affected by COVID-19 in the way that office or multifamily or retail has been. The main reason for that is that many industrial businesses are considered essential. They're shipping products, they're manufacturing goods, they're involved in the life science or defense industries, and they just simply aren't companies that have had to shut down throughout this process, or they've been able to stay open with mitigation efforts in effect. Right now, the state of the industrial market in North County is very healthy. We have a 60 million square foot industrial footprint here in North County across all 5 submarkets: Carlsbad, Oceanside, Vista, San Marcos, and Escondido. The combined vacancy rate again across all 5 submarkets is approximately 6%, and that's a drop of 1.5% quarter over quarter from Q3 to Q4, where it went from 7.5% down to 6%. So good market trajectory and activity in the North County industrial market. In fact, Carlsbad led the way in 2020 amongst all submarkets throughout the whole county-wide San Diego County, with a net absorption of 533,000 square feet. So it was top in the county with net absorption, which is quite good. In addition to that, what we're seeing right now is rental rates here in North County are at an all-time high. They've never been higher than they are today. And that goes for purchase pricing for assets as well. So all-time high on pricing, and vacancy is quite low and in a healthy position. Some of the key industries right now that are driving the growth and the sustained growth and the demand here in North County currently are e-commerce industries, and then life sciences and medical device. We've seen a push for new space by both of those industry types. Currently, OnTrack is taking down an additional 175,000 square feet in Carlsbad. Amazon is taking on another additional 100,000 square feet here in Carlsbad to add to their footprint existing in Vista currently. And those are for distribution and last mile services. And then on the medical device and life science side, we had MilliporeSigma, which is a subsidiary of Merck, leased 150,000 square feet in Q2 of 2020. Last quarter, we had Genmark Diagnostics and also Alphatech expand here in the Carlsbad market, and Q Health with an additional campus moving forward in Vista. So large tracts of space being taken down by those two kind of key industry drivers, and those are industries that we're seeing throughout San Diego County are really driving growth, not just here in North County. And that's in the larger business side, but smaller businesses in the industrial sector have also been performing well. Of course, there's been some businesses that have been impacted by COVID, but as a whole, small to mid-sized business space, industrial here in North County is in very high demand and leases very quickly. Most of the listings that we represent, we have no vacancy or 1 to 2 vacancies across the project. So just in general, overall, a very healthy market disposition for North County and San Diego on the industrial side in general. Talking a little bit about construction here in North County, new industrial construction. Post Great Recession, the bulk of most industrial development in San Diego County was occurring here in North County, and that was because we had a good market location kind of positioned between San Diego and then Orange County and Los Angeles counties. And we had an excess supply of land. At this point, we've kind of worked through most of our excess supply of land. There's really only 2 large tracts of industrial developable space that are left in North County. One's up in Oceanside. It's a 28-acre parcel that US Food sold last year to Lincoln Property Company for a 400,000 square foot development. And the other one is 16 acres on Lions Head Avenue that is owned by HG Fenton. And that is currently in escrow for a 210,000 square foot future development. Both of those developments will be targeting e-commerce as well. So they'll be going after kind of that push for big block space by e-commerce distribution, last mile services. And on the construction front, we have seen out of the ground construction costs and also TI costs continue to rise steadily over the last couple of years. And what we're seeing now that we're out of land is that we've got institutional owners coming into North County, groups like BKM that Emma Miller is part of, also a client of mine, but coming into North County and buying older industrial or flex assets and repositioning those, renovating the exteriors, putting in new creative office tenant improvements on the inside, updating the functionality, the industrial functionality of the units as well. And with that investment, we're seeing that those properties, the repositioned assets are able to achieve all-time highs on rent. So people are coming in and buying older, functionally obsolete properties and converting them into something that's new and creative, and really kind of fits the company culture and the vibrant employee atmosphere that people are looking for and space that they search out for in North County currently. On the investment front, last thing to touch on, one thing that we're seeing is a redeployment of capital from other property types into industrial and flex properties. 90% of the capital markets clients that Colliers represents are interested in investing in industrial properties in 2021. Specifically for the San Diego market, one thing that we're seeing is the pricing has become so tight in Orange County and Los Angeles that we're seeing, large grade institutional investors starting to look down here in San Diego and reassess this as a core market versus a tertiary market. People like the Prologis, the KKRs, groups that, historically over the last, 5, 10, 15 years wouldn't really have been candidates for San Diego County or North County in particular. We see that they're out in force now. I think just kind of on a general summary, the outlook for industrial properties is quite strong. And I would expect over the next 12 months that we're going to see further compression of the vacancy rate. Here in North County, it may drop from 6% down to 5% or less, which is very good. And we'll continue to see upward pressure on rental rates and also sale pricing as well.
Great. Well, thank you very much. So Emma, it's now time for you and your crystal ball and where we've come from. So
perfect. Yeah, thank you. And thank you, Connor, as well. It's obviously nice to hear that someone is kind of experiencing the same thing that we are kind of across our portfolio. So BKM Capital Partners is a real estate fund manager specializing in the acquisition and improvement of value add light industrial multi-tenant properties. All of our properties are strategically located in metro areas across the Western United States. I specifically focus on our Southern California portfolio, which again is 11 properties, nearly 300 tenants and 1.5 million square feet spread out across San Diego and Orange and LA counties. So in San Diego, obviously, our two properties that I'm going to focus on today, we have one in Carlsbad and then one in Vista. We own Arroyo Commerce Park and Lions Head Landing in Vista. And Connor actually represents us on both of those properties. And on 1/1, we were 94% leased at the property in Carlsbad, our Arroyo Commerce Park, and we have one 4,000 square foot space available. Our asking rate there is, I think, anywhere between the $1.40 to $1.45 with about 34 cents in nets. And this is for a creative flex property with 100% HVAC. the polished concrete, exposed ducting, the, nice wood beams. We are probably going to be, we're in the process of doing a rollover improvement for it, and we'll probably be putting in a glass roll-up door as well. Our other property in Vista, Lions Head Landing, as of 1/1 is 98% leased with two 2,500 square foot available units. This property we bought from Blackstone in January 2020, actually, as part of a portfolio sale. And the rates we are getting there are anywhere from, really $1.28. Sorry, my cat's gonna get in the picture. I'm sorry. $1.28 to $1.40, and a 15-cent fixed cam. We also have a 1 cent per square foot increase on the fixed cam. So in 2020, what BKM observed is that really we were very concerned initially with how we thought our asset class was going to perform. We have a lot of mom and pops that we didn't think were really going to make it out of the initial lockdown. March and April were definitely kind of a concerning few months for us. We were fielding a lot of rent relief requests, a lot of tenants just not paying rent, a lot of tenants closing their doors, periodically and for, significant periods of time. And then kind of everything was quiet for a little bit in, probably May, June. And then activity has just been on fire since the summer. At our property in Carlsbad, we were 100% leased, so there wasn't a lot of activity happening there. But specifically at our Lions Head Landing property in Vista, we started in 2020. I said we purchased it in January 30th or 31st of 2020. The property was 85% leased with 10 available units. And at this point, we're 98% leased with 2 available units. So that is a huge testament to not only the leasing team, which is Connor and his team, but also just the market. There have been an incredible amount of smaller tenants that, similar to what Connor said, are essential businesses, so they can stay open and they don't have to close. People are still operating and they have functioning businesses and places that they need to work. Specifically for BKM, our space is the light industrial for 3PL, logistics, and last mile. And at this point, we haven't seen any downtime. A lot of that, I think, is, of course, related to people being at home, consumer spending on, things that you can get on Amazon or any other sort of delivery service. A lot of those types of tenants are the ones that we already have. So their businesses have only increased. For a little bit of context, at the beginning of 2020, out of my 11 properties, I think we had 2 that were 100% leased. Ending 2020, I have 8 out of 11 that are 100% leased. And the 3 that are not 100% leased, one of them has a second-story office component, and that is pretty much the only part of the space of the property that has been available. And the other 2 are over 90% leased. So in all, we have a lot of tenants that are still in the market looking for, a very minimal office build out in a much larger warehousing space. A lot of the types of tenants that we've been seeing are green tenants. We have solar energy type companies that have gone into some of our units. Lab tenants, like Connor had mentioned, 3PL and last mile are really what we're seeing for the most part. Life science and lab tenants, specifically in San Diego, we've seen a huge increase in that sector and those types of tenants coming into the market. So we've definitely been able to capitalize on pushing rents with those tenants and getting them in there for a longer term. What we have noticed is that the spaces that are anywhere between probably 1,500 to 3,000-ish square feet seem to be just flying off the shelves. Again, for example, at Vista, our property in Vista, the Lions Head Landing, at the end of the year, I think we did 4 leases, and Connor, correct me if I'm wrong, it was either 3 or 4 leases in the last 2 weeks of December. We had several different tenants that were all interested in the same space. So it was really a bidding war almost for us. Part of me feels a little guilty that there have been so many industries that have been affected and have had this really terrible experience during COVID. But that just really hasn't been the case for our asset class. It has, these are typically tenants that are pretty nimble and they're able to continue to operate it with minimal staff and with, very few funds. A lot of them are able to just keep kicking things out the way that they need to. A lot of our tenants are those types of warehousing tenants that work with Amazon on getting out some of their distribution, and they are a part of the last mile component. I think the beginning of 2020, I don't see any issues, 2021, I don't see any issues with any reason why kind of this trajectory would change at this point. I think things will only get better, and we will see more people back in office parks, more people back in industrial parks kind of full time once the rollout of the vaccine has continued. So probably middle of the year, maybe beginning of summer. A lot of the tenants that we do have, I think, are waiting for that vaccine to have some kind of power to get their tenants back in, or get their employees back into their spaces, so that they can continue to operate the way they need to. A lot of the strong drivers that we've seen for the industrial flex market is, the demand has been primarily driven by transportation and warehousing and wholesale and, e-commerce, manufacturing and processing. That's what most of our tenants are. A lot of them are just wholesale and e-commerce, and they've been able to really weather this storm. We hope that certainly continues. We hope that trickles down to the office market, because some of the properties that BKM does own, we have a second story office component a part of the property, and those have been the only properties that we have that have really struggled throughout this entire pandemic. Our office buildings, we just can't keep people in the space. And I think industrial space, at least the type that we have, is a good alternative for some tenants in office that want to be able to have their own secured entrance, and they don't want to have the issues with trying to use a restroom with 15 other people on the same floor. With our types of spaces, they're able to kind of limit who comes in and out of their space and who they interact with. So I don't see any reason why the industrial market would take any sort of dip, especially, during the worst, one of the worst pandemics. We really only were more successful than we thought we were going to be. We beat pro forma and our returns for our investors on several of our properties this year, which we obviously were not anticipating if you had asked us back in March or April. So I think with the last mile and 3PLs, I think we're going to be able to hopefully continue to get all our spaces leased at record rates. That's cool.
Emma, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So there are different things happening in different product types and different industries. And so as I was thinking about this presentation, I am an eternal optimist, those of you that know me. And I was thinking that maybe we should have put Eric in the middle, or at least first, because he's going to talk about the office market and where we are there. So Eric, I don't want to steal any of your thunder. Go for it.
Well, I don't know how much thunder I have, but it's definitely a tale of two cities between industrial and office. And the office market is, to say the least, is challenged right now. Countywide vacancy, we're hovering around 12.5%, 13%. And then as you push forward into North County, Carlsbad has about a little over about 160 plus buildings. And, we're looking at about 15.5% vacancy up there. We have the highest sublease rate since 2008 in office right now. And approximately 300 companies countywide added space, sublease space to the market in 2020, and about 80 of those were in North County. I guess, one of the things I'll back up and say, when Carlsbad grew up many years ago, when the office market was evolved. It's predominantly mid-rise buildings, and in my opinion, Carlsbad was kind of built before its time. When they built the office market, I think there was a lot of I think most people thought, well, we'll build some office in Carlsbad, and people will commute from Rancho Santa Fe, Carlsbad, and they'll just come and take space in Carlsbad. Well, that didn't really happen. It happened to some extent, but most people were driving to UTC, downtown, Mission Valley, for where the majority of the office space is. I do think that kind of post-pandemic here, there is a school. A lot of people think that the workforce was not really going to return back to larger offices, and there's pods. They're talking about pods, and if you have say 50,000 square feet in Mission Valley, maybe you take 5,000 square feet in Carlsbad, 5,000 square feet in Rancho Bernardo, and you have touchdown spots. I do think that Carlsbad, in my opinion, is going to thrive in this environment. They got a lot of very successful entrepreneurs that live in North County, Rancho Santa Fe, Carlsbad, and with this pandemic, look, in the industrial space, you can spread out. It's easy. There's, you have a couple people, you have maybe in a 10,000 square foot warehouse, you have 2 or 3 people in the front, and then most of your people are in the warehouse. And office is just the opposite. Everybody is in the same environment, and it's challenging right now to figure out what your workplace strategy is going to be. And I don't think people right now in office space are prepared to make any solid long-term decisions right now. I think most of the leasing, most of companies that are rolling, their leases are rolling. If they don't have, and they really don't, they're doing short-term renewals. And but I do think that the migration to the suburbs is going to occur over the next 20, over the near and long term. I don't think that people are going to return. I don't think people are going to get in the car, drive for 45 minutes downtown, sit in an office, and drive 45 minutes home. I don't think that's efficient, and corporate America has figured out how to be more efficient. Now, San Diego is really predominantly it's really a small tenant market, and small tenant market meaning, we're a small business community. 5 tenants for the most part are 5,000 square feet or less. And if you're a tenant at 5,000 square feet, an office tenant, you probably have 20 to 25 people. Right now, those 20 to 25 people are probably operating pretty efficiently on Zoom and Teams. You get a lot larger than that, becomes, you get corporate America, yes, they can operate on Teams and Zoom, but not as efficiently as a small company. And do you really need office space if you're a small company? I don't know. When Starbucks opens back up and you can actually go in there and have a conversation and have a meeting, maybe a lot of these tenants end up, continuing to work remotely. So statistics on that is that pre-pandemic, 30% of the people were from home part-time, and that number is probably going up. As it relates to construction, one good thing is we're not, from an office standpoint, we're not overbuilt right now. And but from a tenant improvement standpoint, tenant improvement construction costs are really have escalated significantly. And on the capital market side, there's really been one acquisition up there as of late, and that was Wasatch that bought Harbor Associates that bought the Wasatch portfolio. And Wasatch Harbor Associates is going to do some creative office. They're basically repositioning the property to hopefully be in a good position to capture some of these tenants. That's really there's no data points, guys. And if from a tenant perspective, the landlord's controlling the market, the landlord's controlling on the industrial side, and the tenant's controlling on the office side. So if you're a tenant out there looking for space on the office sector, make sure that you have an advocate that is working with you and knows the market, and you're going to be able to write some really good terms, both short term, long term, tenant improvement wise, rental abatement. So it's, again, lots of choices in office, not very many choices in industrial.
Well, thank you, Eric. Appreciate that. Well, we're now into the Q&A portion. And in the beginning, I don't know if Eric mentioned this, but he's also looking at planning for the future, discussion of retail and restaurant as well. So talking about the tale of different markets, that's something that will come up in the future. One of the questions really for all of our panelists is that Amazon and other logistics and fulfillment centers and large footprint distribution centers have taken a significant amount of space. And as Emma said, they will probably continue in that direction in North County. Do you all see that continuing? Do you see any pushbacks from the cities? And once the pandemic ends, do you see any contraction in that marketplace? And whoever wants to start.
I can take that initially, Kevin. So, at least in regards to North County, the markets up here in North County have never been a large bay distribution market. I mean, kind of similar to what Eric said on the office side of the equation. The driver in the business parks here in North County is small to mid-sized businesses, and it always has been that, and it's going to continue to be that in the future. Now, if you go back over the last 5 years, I think there was 3.5 million square feet of industrial development done here in North County. If you look back, to the end of the recession, call it 5 million square feet. And a significant portion of that has kind of catered towards the larger distribution type tenants or medical device corporate headquarters, larger users. But our industrial footprint, our base here, we're 60 million square feet in North County, and you're talking, so that's just a segment of the market. And these areas that these companies are going into, they're industrial zoned, and they're being, industrial buildings have been constructed there to house them. So they're not eating into housing or anything else like that. They're, developments inside of the industrial business park. Go ahead, Eric or Emma, if you have anything to add to that.
Yeah, I was going to say, so the properties that we own up in Carlsbad don't really kind of fit the large distribution type space, but we do own property down in Otay Mesa, which is obviously big box distribution. I oversee those properties as well. And those have, I mean, they just killed it during the pandemic. I don't, and we actually have been, getting public hearing notices for additional buildings that they're putting up down there for additional industrial use. So I personally, I don't think that in that particular area, I don't see it going, I don't see that demand decreasing anytime soon. And I don't think that after the pandemic that it's gonna just kind of all immediately go back to normal. I think that we have like a new normal that we're now all living. And I don't think that it's going to immediately just go back to, everyone's out doing whatever they want to do all the time. I just think we're all in a different scenario now. So I see this as kind of like a long-term shift for the industrial market, at least in terms of, big box, I think is, here to stay and only growing at this point.
I mean, Kevin, you're kind of more on the municipal side of things. How do most of the municipalities view, the larger tenants coming into the market? Are they happy to have the jobs and the new kind of market energy? And, Amazon's doing 3.3 million square feet of development down in Otay Mesa right now, and they're kind of like pulling the whole market behind them right now. It's 93% of all the development in San Diego is down in Otay right now. So I mean, Kevin, what do you see? Like, I mean, is this viewed as a good thing, or?
Yeah, so I think it depends on the city. I mean, quite frankly, over the years, last couple of years, before some of the new product came online in Carlsbad, we kind of had an advantage with some of our old product that we could kind of rebag and find someone for that space because they didn't have to worry about water quality issues or putting in stormwater issues or improvements. That's changed, and we have some property that I would call a little bit long in the tooth. And so I see in Vista in particular, this being an opportunity to fill those spaces with a new use, to really improve it and activate it. But there's also a discussion about whether or not those jobs pay a living wage, the impacts of those specific industries. So as a whole in Vista, right now, we see it as a valuable improvement and it's working for us, but I think it's one of those things depending upon the city and what's taking place. If they have vacant land, it might be identified as a corporate headquarters, but also with distribution and operations, that it's kind of like retail. Now we have to rethink with retail, what is going to be in that space and what is the appropriate use. So I think that it will depend on the city as well. So Eric, do you have anything to add to that, or?
I mean, how many Amazon packages do you get at your house every day? I know my wife, I can't keep her out. I can't, every time I look out there, there's more boxes. Look, the last mile thing and the last mile distribution, it's here. It's not going anywhere, and it's only going to get stronger. I'd be curious, Emma, what is and Connor, 2019, say January 2019 to January 2021, generally speaking, in your portfolio, what kind of increase in rents from that period? Did rents go up 10%, 15%? Do you have from over the last 2 years?
Probably over, I'm trying to think, it's probably anywhere between like 7 and 8%. I want to say our annual increases have increased across a lot of our parks. We were doing a 3%. We now are doing anywhere from 4 to 5% annual increases. And rents, I don't know that it's 10. I would say that it's because there wasn't as big of there was an increase in 2019, but really we've been able to push rents even more in 2020 just because of the demand that we've had. So I would think that it's probably close to like 7 or 8% of an increase in rental rates in that time.
And let me jump on a couple of things, because I know Eric's gonna in about 10 minutes, pull the curtain down on all of us. And I'm sure we won't be able to answer all the questions. So feel free to reach out to all of us if we're not able to answer those questions. But going a little bit to the office market, you know, what should cities do? What should owners do with the office product? And can you expand a little bit on the pod concept?
I mean, look, office space is going to be here. People are going to want to go to the office, and my pod concept is okay. So I'll just use my company. Let's just use Void. I have two offices. I have 10,000 square feet in UTC. I have another 3,200 square feet in Carlsbad. Do I need 14,000 square feet or can I, I got people that live downtown and South Bay. Can I put a little 3,000 square foot space down there that they can use to come in? Maybe it's hotel space. Maybe there's a couple different conference rooms where they can have meetings. And then I would have one, maybe, central San Diego, 2,000 or 3,000 square feet. And then I might have one in Carlsbad, 2,000 to 3,000 square feet. So, I dropped my footprint down from roughly 15,000 square feet to half. And that just leaves the ability for people to work at home. But conversely, they want to go in the office, have a meeting. They want to have some, water cooler discussions. There are companies, obviously, and mostly service and sales companies that they have to be together. There's synergy. There's business that comes out of it, and but generally speaking, that would be a little bit more insight on the pod.
Great, thank you. Well, so for all of you, what are the key competitive advantages of the Carlsbad, Vista, Oceanside, San Marcos, and Escondido area compared to, say, UTC and Carmel Valley? What are your clients considering? What do your clients tell you when considering properties in both locations?
Well, I think it depends on what the industry is. Industrial space is tight in San Diego County in general. So the geographic location may also just be a function of what sort of facilities available that works for a tenant. Here in North County, I certainly think that this area is viewed differently now than it was 10 or 15 years ago. I think people now realize that North County is a geographically really well located place. I mean, we're bracketed by the I-5 and the I-15. You can get up to LA and Orange County easily. You can get down into San Diego County. You can get up into Riverside County. So I think, for a number of reasons, whether it's, the ability to interface with suppliers in those other markets or pull employees from surrounding areas, I think North County is a very desirable place now for a lot of people to put their business.
Eric?
Yeah,
I echo that. I mean, I just think that, people, they don't want to, I don't think people want to commute. I think people have figured out how to be more efficient with their time. And I don't think everybody wants to work from home all the time, but I certainly think that, I certainly think that that's somewhat something to look forward to.
Emma?
Yeah, I think I kind of echo what Connor's saying. I think, just kind of the geographics of the North County market, and especially where our two properties are that are located. I mean, they're both, very close to freeways, and, a lot of people that we actually have in our Carlsbad properties do live in Orange County, in Southern Orange County, and, kind of commute down every day. So I definitely think the geographic location has definitely helped most recently.
Thank you. So this is one for my city friends, so we can better understand the marketplace. If you were planning director, community development director for the day in North County, what would be the one thing, other than getting permits faster, that you would do to improve the competitive position of our businesses and industrial parks? This is your opportunity to tell us that one thing you need.
The one thing we need in industrial parks.
If you're
I mean,
a director for a day, what would you do?
Oh man. In industrial parks, I would probably, I mean, I would definitely add in some additional amenities, like in terms of, like, you know, restaurants or, you know, those types of tenants. I think that's a huge benefit that I think we have at some, but it's just, I think it's kind of lacking across the board. I would probably add that in for sure.
Definitely in the Carlsbad Research Center, we need retail. We need amenities.
Connor?
Yeah, I think I would have less of something additional that we need and more of just encouragement for the cities in North County to kind of keep doing what they're doing. I think all the cities are fairly forward-thinking, the planning departments, in terms of what they're doing, and you know, very friendly on the user interface side for property owners and business owners who want to relocate their companies into the area. And I think there's healthy competition amongst North County cities, but they collaborate well together. And this is just generally viewed as a good place to park your business, pro business friendly environment. So, you know, Kevin, you're in the city of Vista is a big part of that. And, you know, I really appreciate the work you guys do. So I just say, please keep it up. I hear positive feedback all the time about you guys and other cities. So.
Yeah, we have
Oh,
a great partnership of city and planning staff in North County that really, I think, understand how to work with businesses and have that conversation to kind of get to yes. I'm sorry, you were going to say?
I was just going to say that I lost my train of thought. So.
All right. Well, let me ask another question here. This is really kind of about Riverside. Do you see what's taking place with tilt-ups in Riverside being a competitive disadvantage for us in San Diego with some of the industrial and distribution centers?
No, I don't think so. I think there's a different scale of distribution and that's going in up there, Imperial, other areas north of us. I don't think that is going to impact North County at all. I think there's a need for the big box distribution service facilities are putting in those markets, you know, and there's positioned east of the port of Los Angeles and Long Beach with railhead access. They're just all part of an interconnected logistical network. So you know, again, at least North County, I mean, we still are not a big box distribution type of market. We do have a little bit of that now with some new development and some large users that have occupied that. But again, you know, the economic driver for us in North County is still small to mid-sized business space. And it's just, and we're out of land. So that's not gonna change for us. Other markets have a lot more room for future growth and development, but we're gonna be repositioning existing assets on the industrial side going forward here in the future. That's what we'll be doing.
All right. Can anyone on the panel comment on the healthcare delivery sites that may be popping up, clinics, treatment centers, outpatient services as a subset in North County?
I haven't seen a lot of that, so I'm not sure. I wouldn't be able to speak very intelligently about it.
We haven't seen anything in North County yet, but I think that, you know, Eric, we were talking earlier that, you know, you were maybe working on something for North County and to have an alternative versus going downtown to Petco.
Yeah. So So, yeah, I mean, I'd actually like to maybe, I'll use the organizer's prerogative. And I want to ask kind of a question. Eric, you spoke about this with the pods and sort of the lack of commuting. So, do you see, so there's obviously, maybe an alternative bet, and I'd like, as much as you guys feel comfortable talking about it, right? Because, people are making, are going to put onto the market several million square feet of speculative R&D tech life science space in downtown San Diego. And to what extent do you think that competes with North County and potential end users in that space? Or do you see end users up in North County, as Eric does in some of the office space, being focused on commutes, proximity to labor, proximity to workforce? And we know that a lot of the more higher educated or tech workers and folks in life science do live in suburban communities because they're attracted by schools. So can you kind of think about maybe how that sort of frame that for where North County is going to be in 2021, 2022, as several million square feet are introduced to the market in 92101?
Well, I mean, so on the life science front, I do think that IQHQ is the developer that's going to take on the former Manchester site. I think they'll kill it down there. Life science companies, especially big credit life science, the rent's not that big a deal. I think that, from a life science standpoint, if you're not an industrial, life science is the next best place to be. We have a number of life science companies in North County. For the most part, Torrey Pines is built out. We've had a number of sites trade in Torrey Pines, a National University site Alexandria bought. They bought another site in UTC. So they're full steam ahead. I do think that you'll start to see a little bit of migration coming to North County just because there's nowhere else to go. From a talent standpoint, they have a tendency to, life science companies have a tendency to kind of work in generally the same area. And with the advent of COVID and the pandemic, that's only put life science on steroids. I've been doing this long enough to see a lot of cycles, and especially in life science, but I think this one is going to be pretty sustainable for a while, at least, at least what I see right now.
Well, I want to keep on track here with Eric, and I'm commitment to the time that we all have. I want to say thank you to the panelists and all of those participated today. We really appreciate that. 2020 has definitely changed what we've done. 2021 will do the same. And so in wrapping this up, I would say remain flexible, be ready to, I almost hate to say the word pivot, but be flexible. And I think cities will try to do the same thing. And so whether you have a question for those participating today or the cities, please reach out and call us, because if you have an idea, a thought, a question, we want to be able to assist you. So again, thank you, everyone. And I hand it back to you, Eric.
Great. Well, Kevin, thank you. Thanks to all the panelists. Thanks for all the folks that logged on. I'm really hoping that in 2022, we can get together in person. I'd love to kick off a North County Real Estate Outlook as an annual event in the January timeframe. But again, thanks everyone, and thanks for all your support for economic development and keeping San Diego's North County the upper tier of our region. So again, have a great Thursday and take care, everyone.
Thanks, Eric.
Everyone.
Thank you.
Talk to you guys later. See ya.
Bye.